You stand at the center of it all, surrounded on all sides by enemies who have you cornered, outnumbered, and outgunned. Their weapons are drawn, their eyes locked on you, and their smirks wide with confidence. They've planned this moment meticulously, convinced that victory is inevitable. They exchange knowing glances, their bravado unshakable as they close in, ready to end this once and for all. But you remain calm, almost amused. Your hands are steady, your breathing even, and your expression unreadable. They think they've got you figured out, that they've accounted for every possible move. But they don't know what's coming. They don't know who they're dealing with. To them, you're just another target. To you, they're just another audience waiting to be amazed. You're not just a fighter. You're Houdini, and this is your stage. Just when they think they've got you, you make your move. It's something unexpected, something impossible, a disappearing act, a sudden reversal, or a display of skill that defies logic. One moment, you're standing there, calm and composed. The next, you're gone, or you've turned the tables so completely that they're left scrambling to keep up. Their smirks fade, replaced by wide-eyed shock as they struggle to process what just happened. Their confidence wavers, their bravado crumbling under the weight of their disbelief. They've faced countless opponents before, but none like you. None who could do what you just did. None who could make the impossible look effortless. They exchange uneasy glances, their weapons lowering slightly as doubt creeps in. They thought they had the upper hand. They thought they had you cornered. But now, they're starting to realize just how wrong they were. Your enemies stand frozen, their earlier confidence replaced by a growing sense of unease. One of them mutters under their breath, their voice trembling with disbelief. How did he do that? The question hangs in the air, unanswered and unsettling. They look at each other, searching for reassurance, but find only uncertainty. Their bravado is gone, replaced by a creeping fear that they're in over their heads. You don't explain. You don't need to. Your actions speak louder than words, and the message is clear. They underestimated you. They thought they could outmaneuver you, outthink you, outfight you. But now, they're starting to realize that you're not just a step ahead. You're playing a completely different game. And as they stand there, stunned and shaken, you can't help but smirk. This is just the beginning. Drop a comment. I break limits if you refuse to kneel to their control, if every attempt to suppress you only strengthens your resolve, if their barriers become your stepping stones, and if your rise shatters every illusion they built to contain you. They dismissed the first victory as a fluke, the second as chance, the third as an anomaly. But now the pattern is undeniable. The numbers don't lie, the outcomes remain the same, and the whispers of doubt have turned into murmurs of fear. They've studied probability, weighed the odds, yet your success defies their logic. No storm uproots you, no setback buries you, and every attempt to contain your rise only feeds your momentum. They wanted to believe in randomness, but you have stripped them of that illusion. There is an order to this, and they are not the architects. Fear takes hold when control is lost, and they are losing it rapidly. Their desperate need for explanation twists into wild theories, conspiracies spun from thin air designed to rationalize what they cannot accept. They call it unfair, unnatural, anything but earned. They question the unseen forces that push you forward, not realizing that force is will, sharpened by fire, reinforced by every challenge meant to break you. They believed in limits, but you have none. They placed bets on your failure, only to watch as you shattered their expectations over and over. Their fear isn't of your power alone, it's of what that power reveals. The truth is setting in. You were never meant to be ordinary. No circumstance could reduce you, no failure could define you. You do not chase fate, you dictate it. They see it now, and that realization terrifies them. Because if you are inevitable, then everything they once believed in is obsolete. You move with a precision that borders on supernatural, your every action calculated and deliberate. You dodge bullets, disarm opponents, and counter their moves before they even realize what's happening. They're throwing everything at you, But you're not just surviving, you're thriving. The more they escalate, the more you outmaneuver them, and with every move, their confidence erodes a little more. They're starting to realize that no matter what they do, they can't touch you. The room grows quieter as your enemy's bravado fades, replaced by a palpable sense of dread. Their movements become hesitant, their attacks less coordinated. They're not just fighting you anymore, they're fighting their own fear. You can see it in their eyes, the way they glance at each other, the way their hands tremble as they grip their weapons. They've never faced someone like you, someone who seems to defy the laws of physics and logic. One of them takes a step back, their voice shaky as they mutter, "This isn't possible." Another drops their weapon, their resolve crumbling under the weight of their terror. They're not just scared, they're in awe. And that's when you know you've won. Not because you've defeated them physically, but because you've shattered their spirit. They came here thinking they could take you down. Now, they're just hoping to survive. You decide it's time to end this, not because you have to, but because you want to. You want them to remember this moment, to carry it with them for the rest of their lives. You step forward, your movement slow and deliberate, your presence filling the room like a storm cloud. They try to back away, but there's nowhere to go. You've got them right where you want them. And then you show them what you're truly capable of. Maybe it's a feat of strength, like snapping a weapon in half with your bare hands. Maybe it's a display of agility, like moving so fast they can't even see you. Or maybe it's something even more inexplicable, like the air itself seeming to bend to your will. Whatever it is, it leaves them speechless. The room falls silent, the only sound the ragged breathing of your enemies as they stare at you in stunned disbelief. They thought they knew what they were up against. They thought they had a chance. But now they know the truth. You're not just better than them, you're on a completely different level. And as you stand there, calm and unshakable, they realize one thing: they never stood a chance. The Obsidian. Inner order is forged for those who relentlessly pursue immortal greatness. This is a sacred group of titans who understand that mastery leaves an eternal mark. Every week our warriors gather for profound strategy sessions that pierce the veil of mediocrity. No surface-level content, no spiritual bypass, just ancestral wisdom merged with modern domination from those who've conquered their domains. With over 450 chosen members, these weekly calls deliver the sacred blueprints needed to claim your sovereign throne. Every transmission is preserved in our sanctified vault, accessible to those who understand that wisdom reveals itself when the student is ready. This isn't about temporary motivation, it's about awakening your dormant power. Our private Discord has become the inner sanctum where genuine kings connect in ways that reshape reality. Here, legacies are forged, destinies are aligned, and brotherhood transcends the shallow connections of the masses. When members of the Order unite, the universe conspires to make way. Stop watching from the sidelines. Your seat at the table of titans awaits. The link is in the description below. They built their reality on fixed outcomes, equations that always balanced, rules that never bent. Then you arrived, and the numbers stopped making sense. Every setback should have buried you, every obstacle should have halted your progress, but you moved as if failure was never part of the equation. Their systems were designed to calculate probabilities, yet you continue to exceed every limit they set. They tightened their grip on logic, desperate to reconcile your success with their understanding of the world. But your existence alone dismantles their certainty. You are the anomaly they cannot quantify, the glitch that rewrites the code. Control is their foundation, and you are tearing it apart with every victory. They believed the world was theirs to shape, outcomes theirs to dictate, yet your defiance warps their constructed reality. They watch as you break through walls that shouldn't crack, rise from falls that should have been fatal, and conquer battles that should have been unwinnable. They search for an explanation, something to validate their belief that everything operates within their grasp. But you are proof that some forces bow to nothing. What they feared most was never your strength alone, but the implications of its existence. Because if you can break their rules, then their rules were never absolute. If you can twist the impossible into certainty, then nothing they built is real. That truth gnaws at them, haunts them. Their illusion of control shatters with every move you make. You are not bound by their limits. You are not part of their system. You are the error in their code, the force that refuses to be contained. And that is why they will never understand how you keep winning, because their minds cannot grasp a reality in which you were always destined to. Drop a comment. I am the unseen variable. If their calculations could never predict your rise, if their formulas collapse the moment you step in, if their predictions shatter because you were never part of their design, and if every equation they trust fails to account for the force that is you. They send attacks wrapped in secrecy, believing unseen strikes will finally break you. But nothing reaches you. Every weapon they forge, every scheme they construct, collapses before it makes contact. They have watched too many of their own fall, by their own hand, victims of their own malice, as if the force shielding you bends reality itself. What was meant to shatter you ricochets back with twice the weight. They cannot name the power surrounding you, but they feel it, a presence that turns their hostility into their downfall. Some dismiss it as coincidence. The wiser ones know better. Their hesitation betrays their fear. They have seen what happens to those who move against you, those who speak your downfall into existence, only to be swallowed by their own words. It isn't luck, and it isn't strategy alone. There is something woven into your existence that disrupts destruction before it reaches you. They attempt to break your path, only to watch their own foundations crumble. They try to unmake you, only to be undone themselves. Even the boldest hesitate now, speaking your name with the caution of those who have learned that touching the untouchable comes at a cost. There is no science to explain why you keep rising. No logic to define why ruin avoids you, why storms break around you, but never upon you. They call it supernatural because they lack the words to name what they do not understand. But you do not need their understanding. You were never meant to be explained. You were meant to be unstoppable. They have turned you into a case study, dissecting every move, recording every fluctuation, convinced that somewhere in the data there is an answer. They have archived your history, mapped your tendencies, analyzed your decisions with ruthless precision. Yet with every new file they compile, the mystery only deepens. They have reduced others to statistics, broken countless through patterns of control, yet you refuse to conform. They cannot categorize you because you are not confined to a single trajectory. They chart your past, but it does not predict your future. You are the exception they cannot eliminate. Data should have made you predictable, but you remain beyond reach. They run simulations, process algorithms, and compare past outcomes, yet every conclusion they reach collapses the moment you move. Logic bends under your defiance. Probabilities shatter in your presence. You are not an accident, not an aberration. They are simply working with a framework that was never designed to contain you. The more they seek certainty, the more unstable their own reality becomes. According to Ecclesiastes chapter 8 verse 17, "Then I saw all that God has done. No one can comprehend what goes on under the sun." They try to reduce you to something explainable, yet what they cannot grasp is that your existence was never meant to be explained. It was meant to dominate. They believed knowledge was power, but their knowledge of you has only made them powerless. Every strategy built on their research fails. Every attempt to control you through information backfires. You do not move by their metrics, do not rise by their standards. Their greatest frustration is not just that you keep winning, it is that their understanding of you has become their greatest weakness. They believe power comes from control, that by limiting access, severing ties and restricting movement, they can dictate your position. But you slip through the cracks of their carefully structured networks, reappearing where they least expect. They try to isolate you, but connections form around you like gravity pulling celestial bodies into orbit. Where they build walls, you walk through unseen corridors. Where they close doors, others open without warning. The harder they try to erase your presence, the more undeniable you become. You do not need permission to exist within their structures because you were never bound by their hierarchies. Their equations do not account for you. Influence, power, opportunity, all of it should move predictably, yet you disrupt every system designed to exclude you. They remove your name from the lists, deny you entry into the spaces they believe. They control, yet you arrive anyway, not by force, but by inevitability. They watch as allies appear from directions they failed to guard, as doors open in places they thought were sealed. Their attempts to box you out only expand your reach. Their resistance only strengthens your presence. You are an anomaly in their social matrix. They calculate influence by visibility, yet your power grows unseen. They attempt to predict your next move, yet every time they look, you are already ahead. They work within rigid structures, assuming you must operate the same way. But you exist between spaces, move in ways they cannot track, and forge paths they do not see until it is too late. They do not understand how you keep rising. That is because you are not following their map. You are rewriting the landscape. They dissect your every move, searching for flaws, for cracks, for some fragile thread that might explain away your power. Yet, every attempt to dismantle you only reinforces your presence. They see the impossible ease with which you navigate storms, how the chaos that consumes others bends around you as if it dares not touch what is chosen. They whisper about luck because their minds cannot fathom precision beyond their own limits. But luck is fickle. What you have is law, unseen equations that shift reality in your favor. The battlefield tilts beneath your feet, and every force sent to break you becomes another tool in your ascent. Doubt lingers in their eyes, a hesitation they refuse to name. How can they deny what unfolds in front of them? Patterns repeating, outcomes sealed before the first move is made. They have stood at the edge of destruction, waiting for the moment. You falter, but that moment never arrives. Instead, they watch you rise, again and again, as if defeat was never an option. They don't understand that you operate beyond the reach of their logic, beyond the confines of probability. Every setback, every obstacle, every shadow sent to silence you only sharpens your dominion. The darkness cannot grasp what it was never meant to hold. They calculate their attacks, thinking strategy will be enough to dismantle you, but the very ground beneath their schemes shifts in your favor. Every trap set against you collapses under the weight of its own intent. The pressure they apply does not break you, it refines you. They push, thinking resistance will exhaust you, yet every blow only sharpens your endurance. Their weapons fail not because they are weak, but because they were never meant to succeed against what is chosen. The darkness miscalculates, believing force alone can overthrow what is divinely positioned, but power does not bow to desperation, and you were never theirs to conquer. The silence they take for weakness is the stillness of a storm gathering strength. They misread your restraint as hesitation, unaware that a higher force has already intervened on your behalf. Their downfall does not come by your hands, but by the weight of their own intentions. The unseen realm moves in ways they cannot predict, shifting circumstances beyond their reach. They look for signs of struggle, but instead they find themselves unraveling. As declared in Psalm chapter 23, verse 5, He prepares a table for me in the presence of my enemies. They sit at the feast of your victories, forced to witness what they tried to prevent. They thought they held control, but their power was an illusion, a fleeting shadow against an unshaken force. They were never in command of your fate, only spectators to its unfolding. And now their regret settles in, heavy and undeniable, as they watch the truth solidify. Every attack was wasted, every betrayal powerless, every move they made only brought them closer to their own undoing. The ones who sought to erase you have only ensured their own irrelevance. The last laugh does not belong to them, it never did. They try to summon the ghosts of your past, thinking echoes of what once was will bind you. But you have risen beyond reach, beyond the weight of their accusations and the grip of their schemes. The tactics that once delayed you now crumble against your presence. You do not flinch. You do not falter. They call your name in secrecy, hoping their words will unravel you, but your name no longer belongs to their realm. It carries power beyond their comprehension, woven into something unshakable. They fear what they cannot touch, and now all they can do is watch. Their greatest mistake was assuming you would remain within their grasp. The higher you ascend, the more irrelevant they become. Every attempt to diminish you only amplifies your presence. Their resentment festers, growing heavier with each victory they swore you would never claim. But your path is not controlled by their expectations. Your rise was never meant to be understood by those who were never destined to follow. They miscalculated the forces at play. You are no longer bound by the gravity that holds them down. You move in alignment with something they cannot name, something they cannot break. They wanted you broken, silenced, erased, but every attempt to stop you only forged you into something indestructible. Their whispers turned to warnings, their resistance became fuel. You were never just meant to survive. Survival is for those who scrape by, clinging to what remains. But you thrive. Every challenge sharpened you. Every betrayal hardened your resolve. They watch, unable to interfere, as you ascend beyond their reach, untouchable, undeniable, unstoppable. Their disbelief does not change your reality. Their doubt does not alter your path. You move with authority, guided by forces they cannot control. They thought they had time. Time to scheme, time to plot, time to rewrite your fate. But time does not answer to them. It moves in your favor, shifting circumstances that should have buried you. They are spectators now, silent, bitter, grasping at shadows. They measure their worth against what they failed to destroy, and it haunts them. You do not need revenge. You do not need validation. Your very existence is proof that they lost. You wake up winning, untouched by their chaos, unshaken by their presence. The enemies you once outran now fade into irrelevance, swallowed by the weight of their own failure. Stay focused. Stay protected. Let those who doubted you become a distant memory. And when you're ready, speak. Tell your story, not for them, but for those who need to hear it. The ones still trapped in the fire, waiting to rise, waiting to realize they are chosen too.